Dare I say it, Panthers legend Steve Smith, are your Carolina Panthers a playoff team? We are 7-6 right now, Steve. Maybe one of the biggest wins in that stadium in a number of years, maybe. Knocking off the best team in football in the Los Angeles Rams and making Matthew Stafford not look like the Stafford we have seen of late in a defense that was definitely shorthanded, but forcing turnovers, Bryce Young making big plays, running the football. We are 6-1 in one-score games this season, the Carolina Panthers. I mean, we got some big wins on that schedule so far this season. We got a lot to go through the course of what could happen, what needs to transpire. Do you want me to tell you the chances right now before we get started?
Ooh, tell me the chances.
Do you want the chances? Okay, we got a bye.
Tell me the chances.
We got a bye, then we got the Saints.
Winning that game, they should be.
They should beat the bye. Then they got the Saints, which they need. You cannot have a letdown out of the bye against the Saints. They already lost to the Saints this year. That has been a big emphasis.
It's at the Saints too.
Yes, that building gets rocking. Then you have Bucks, Seahawks, Bucks. Right now they have a 22% chance of making the postseason. 22? They beat the Saints. It jumps to 33%. Now, if they essentially win the 3 games in the division, they have a 99% chance of making the postseason. The Seahawks game actually really doesn't even matter that much. It's beat the Bucks twice, right? That's essentially the Week 18 game could come down to everything.
I push back a little bit because you're forced to beat the Bucks twice. Mm-hmm. Now you have a Seattle Seahawks game in the middle. Who are extremely physical. Very physical. And you now have to deal with staying healthy, but also staying fresh, because if you can make it to the playoffs, most likely, win the division, so you have a home game. I was very surprised, not at the Panthers beating the Rams. I was surprised of how the Panthers were hanging with the Rams immediately. It wasn't some things happened and then momentum shifted. It was actually from the jump, a back and forth between defensive stops by both teams, offensive explosions by both teams. It kept you on the edge of your seat because you were, when you're the Rams, you're going, we'll get through this, we're fine.
We'll find a way.
But if you're a Panthers fan or a team that doesn't really vibe with the Panthers, you're going, they're 6-6. You go, when is this team going to make a mistake? And it was the reverse. The Carolina Panthers down some young talent, which means there's some younger talent that has to get back in there, younger. And all of a sudden, I don't want to say they were nothing dropped off, but it does help. But here's the thing. Execution is the key. Avero, being a former coach, understands Sean McVay's offense. But just because you understand the offense doesn't mean that you're going to have this performance from the offense by the Carolina Panthers to be able to complete passes that all year long you've been shutting teams down. You've been going down to the wire, right? You lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, but you were a play or two away from doing some really good things. And that Carolina Panthers loss last week on Monday night with a short week against the San Francisco 49ers, missed opportunities, suspended players, ineffective running the football consistently, maybe relying on the pass a little bit too much. Well, all of a sudden they come into this Rams game and Rico doesn't really have the explosive runs. And who does? Chuba Hubbard runs with a purpose. He catches a little screen pass out of the backfield flat, and all of a sudden hits on the Canadian Petro boosters and gets going. Don't know if you know, but he is a Canadian-born guy. He and I joke with him, he calls gas Petro. Right? And
I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Should call that play outstanding. It was a great design.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just thought it was good. And then defensively, people are talking about, the national media should be giving Derrick Brown is a Pro Bowler. Derrick Brown had 100 tackles at D tackle.
I know.
He doesn't need some folks on the couch to say he's a hell of a football player. Everybody knows him. Every offensive coordinator is game planning. Where is number 95?
100%.
Is he in the A gap, B gap, or is sometimes he plays the edge and he's keeping contained because he's such a dominant player, slanging, tossing, removing people out of the way to make tackles. And I'm not talking about DBs or wide receivers or running backs. I'm talking about he's getting double teamed, having his right hand on the tackle, left hand on the guard, or the left hand on the center, right hand on the guard, stalemating and tossing one guy and making a tackle, collapsing the running back hole in ways you just don't normally see a D tackle at such a young age. He's not really old.
No.
Right? He's had some injuries, but he still has a lot of tread on the tire, man. And I'm just impressed with the way this defense is starting to come together. And then the absence of the Pro Bowl leading votes with J.C. Horn not in there. Mike Jack comes and gets him a pick six, which was pretty impressive. Also, too, though, I hate to say it, Puka Nacua made a damn good catch as well. Just as a wide receiver, you just admire when dudes are just snagging it.
Just back.
But it was such a good game. It was a surprising game. More than anything, is showing that Dan Morgan has such a great plan. And everybody keeps now all this, Dan Morgan did a really good job. But a couple of weeks ago, y'all were, had him on skewers talking about he doesn't know what he's doing. So it's just really cool to see. And unfold and watch this team really start to go down and play some teams where, like in week 3, they go ahead and blank the Atlanta Falcons, right? And then they go in overtime and beat the Atlanta Falcons. But then they get mollywopped and don't score hardly any points against the Buffalo Bills. And then a 3-point win against the Green Bay Packers in a way that no one saw, controlling that game and really keeping the Green Bay Packers out of sorts to the point of where people were starting to question, are the Green Bay Packers legitimate? Did acquiring Michael Parsons really actually help them? So it's just the Panthers have changed the narrative when they play teams, especially when they win. How good is that team? I don't believe that you can say that against the Los Angeles Rams, but you can say that was the most impressive win outside Atlanta Falcons week 3 game where they won 30-0. No one saw that coming, and no one saw that the Los Angeles Rams would falter to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, because the Rams are, and I think we've said this, I think they're the best team in football. We've done episodes on them. We've done episodes on this offense. Make sure you always go back and check out those previous episodes we've done. We did one on Stafford and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. So just subscribe, you'll get all the episodes. You'll know when they're coming. And that's why we knew how good this Rams team was, Steve. When I look at this game, I think of Dave Canales, and I think of where he came from. When you watch this game and they ran the ball a ton, they controlled the clock in the second half. The Rams ran 3 plays in the third quarter. 3. Yeah. That's it. Then they hit on some chunk plays in the passing game when they needed them the most.
Yep.
And they created turnovers on defense. Whose exact formula is that? It's Pete Carroll. That is how Pete Carroll. That is how Pete Carroll plays football, right? And that is one of Dave's mentors.
Not in Vegas right now.
Well, yeah, that's how he wants to play football. Now that's how he used to play football in Seattle. But that's what they used to do all the time. It's still the formula he swears by. And I think Dave, that's somebody that Dave really looked up to and coached under and learned a lot from.
Learned a lot.
But I look at it and this team it hinges. And I'm curious what happens moving forward. I'd like your take on it.
Now, I use Simply Safe. I got a new place, and I'm sitting here, and I go back and forth. I'm always somewhere, but I'm never really at home on a consistent basis. And I really love Simply Safe because there's no contracts. You can cancel at any time. But I love on the app, you can utilize and see everything that's going on. It's just not there to secure and have security for your home. It also prevents crimes from happening. They will get on the horn and try and will get those bad guys out of the way. But the biggest thing I love about Simply Safe, when you're traveling, one of the biggest things I love right here, they got a water sensor. Now, what is this water sensor? Like, Steve, what are you talking about, a water sensor? Here's what I love about the water sensor. They have this little old gadget. And this gadget, you just take it and you sit it on the floor or by the toilet or under the sink. And if a little bit of drop of water comes out, it just doesn't beep at the house. Because beeping at the house and you're not home, that doesn't work. But right now, you can get an alert. And by getting an alert, you can have somebody come in and it prevents a lot of damage. Some of the biggest issues right now in winter is pipes freezing and all of a sudden you've lost. Getting robbed is one thing, but losing everything you own and worked hard for over some water damage, that's something that you don't want to do. Simply Safe gives you that opportunity to safeguard not just your home, but safeguard your valuables from things that are not present that you're unaware of, and that's water. So Simply Safe will take care of you. Take it from me. I love Simply Safe, and Simply Safe has put my mind at ease when I'm traveling. This month only, take 50% off your new system. This is one of the best prices you will ever see for Simply Safe. Don't miss it. Hit simplysafe.com/89show. Again, that's simplysafe.com/89show and lock in your discount. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
If you look at their rushing success rate and their wins, they are completely correlated. When they run the ball well, they win football games.
Yes.
Period. And you saw Chuba Hubbard, the way he was able to carry the load in this game, when we thought it was going to be Rico Dowdle from here on out, that Hubbard had lost his job.
Rico's still starting though. Rico's still starting, but when you got two guys that are willing,
that's what I want to know. How they're going to use him.
Yeah, I think they're going to use. I believe they're going to use.
He wants fresh legs.
Yeah, I think they're going to use them the same way, where they're not going to take out a guy who's balling to put in a guy to just make sure his feelings aren't hurt on the sideline, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have to say, hey, sometimes some games, man, they just got you bottled up this game, and so we gotta give some guys other opportunities. That's the same thing in the pass game where you're getting double teamed. They can't force the football to the wide receivers getting double teamed. They have to make other guys press this defense, and by pressing that defense, that allows the receiver who's getting double teamed, who isn't getting any passes, well, he gets to eat. Maybe not in this game, but it does help him in the next game, because teams are going to go, okay, when last week they did this, they used this game plan, and that didn't equal success. They still lost. Well, we don't want to do that. Let's play a little bit more conservative. Let's not put all of our eggs in the basket of stopping or neutralizing one particular playmaker. Let's make sure that we can neutralize and brace for impact and minimize all of the playmakers on that team, where it's Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, T-Mac, who's playing really good football. Second, I believe second in receptions, doing a really good job, running some excellent routes. Now, people have said and all that stuff. Look, when you look at this, the draft pick of getting T-Mac, my biggest complaint wasn't the player. It was the need for the Carolina Panthers at that time.
The team-building philosophy, essentially.
The philosophy, they did not need a wide receiver in comparison to they don't and still don't have consistently a presence on the edge to create sacks and pressure on the quarterback. This is a team who's won a football game with 0 sacks. That is not a norm. And I'm not pointing out to be Debbie Downer. I'm pointing out to say that at some point you're gonna have to address and get some edge rushers, because with those edge rushers, that allows your young linebacker core to not also who are not getting hit 5 or 6 yards down the field by blockers. And then the running back is scaving through, going on 50 or 40 and 30-yard runs like the Buffalo Bills. So you got to be careful and utilize. All I'm saying is, now, was it a good pick? Absolutely it was. Look at the outcome. Yeah. You look at Xavier Legette. He hasn't really done everything that everybody expected. You heard him when he was drafted. Oh, man, we really see him as that Deebo Samuels senior type of role. He's not Deebo. He's Xavier, right? He's X, and he just because they went to the same school, just because they have physical attributes, doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden going to translate, especially when a guy who, he has 17 or 1,200 yards his senior year. But until then, he didn't have anything. And subscribe. Go back and look at my breakdown with Xavier Legette to show you. Go ahead and fact check me. Go back and look at the episode where I broke down Xavier Legette.
I remember.
And telling you why and what I thought of the young man. Still love him. Think he's a heck of a football player. Still learning. But I don't think you all of a sudden, just because a guy did it at the college level, that it means that he's going to do the exact same thing at the pro level. But staying on track, T-Mac is playing outstanding football. I can go on record. I was wrong. I thought that wasn't a good pick. It wasn't. It was a great pick. And it's coming to fruition, and it's helping them and helping Bryce to this day. So kudos to Dave Canales and Dan Morgan for going against the grain and getting a playmaker. Now you got to get some playmakers on defense, because the next couple of weeks, you're going to get a high dosage of Bucky Irvin's back. You're going to get this run game from the Seattle Seahawks. So you're going to have all the guys on deck to stop this run, because these teams, they don't give up on a run. They don't abandon it at all.
Yeah, both run. And by the way, Mike Evans is back at practice. Chris Godwin's back on the field. So
Chris Godwin's back.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Chris Godwin here on this show. I agree with you, Steve. And when I look at the T-Mac and I look at what Jalen Coker did in this game, and I look at where they're at in the passing game, I'm kind of circling it back to, like, we are seeing an identity of this offense. And Sean McVay kind of put it perfectly after the game. He said, we were getting pushed back regularly. And this is a good defensive line in Los Angeles.
Great defensive
line. Very
good
defensive line. And he's like, we were getting pushed back. Running backs were constantly falling forward. We were sitting there in third and short over and over again as a defense. And what they do, stack the box, single high safety, and in those moments, then you rely on making a throw when there's a little bit different coverage on the back end when the box is full. They have to be able to make those throws to throw teams out of just putting everyone in there and finding ways to be a little bit more adaptable as an offense. And you saw Dave Canales take those hits. I mean, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, what were they? 2 touchdowns, and they find ways to go downfield in them. Yeah. By the way, I wanted to mention that as it pertains to you as a receiver. On the throw that they had to on the 4th down one to T-Mac, it seemed like he threw him open, if that makes sense. When he was coming across the field and the corner looks like he tries to undercut it a little bit and he layers it over the corner. I thought that was a really good throw, honestly.
It was great. It was great ball placement. And the wide receiver, T-Mac, did a really good job of keeping the integrity of the route, the angle, not bowing back, not going too high. It was picture perfect. It is the way you draw it up on the paper, and he did it to a T, and the throw was layered and spot on, and so it just made it a beautiful throw.
Yeah, it really was. I thought it was like, when I watched it, I gotta ask Steve about this throw. So layered was the thing that came into my mind. It
was layered, but it also has to do with the wide receiver needs to do his job, and T-Mac did his job excellent. Yeah. Set up the route, kept the integrity, kept the right angle, and that's a teaching tape right there. That's when you say, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. When they say run to the area, this is where the area you're supposed to be, and a quarterback should be throwing it. When you watch practice, a lot of times in training camp, they have these big old nets that with three little pockets that they're practicing, or they have that trash can where they're trying to hit it in a trash can. So it's having that touch, right? Making sure that you are in tune with having that touch, because we've seen a lot of quarterbacks, they get excited when a guy's wide open, and what happens? Overthrows them a little bit because they get a little antsy. So it was a great job by Bryce staying under control, keeping his emotions level-headed, and going through his progressions, and then stepping through and having good footwork, and it was picture perfect.
Yeah, and you know what? He was protected well on some of these.
He was.
He really was.
Surprisingly.
I didn't predict it, obviously.
I was surprised just because the Rams bring pressure. They get after the quarterback really well, and to be able for Bryce to be able to sit back in pistol and shotgun formation and really do a good job and not seem rattled, and that was very surprising.
Yeah, it was very surprising. Hopefully optimistic. The other one I got to ask you before we go is Jalen Coker caught the other fourth down, but he caught a couple of balls. It feels like they've been wanting to get him more involved. What have you seen from Coker lately as they want to try to get him some more targets and some more balls?
Well, you have to get him some targets because teams are going to want to take away T-Mac. They're going to say, hey, other guys need to beat us. T-Mac makes a great catch. Coker, Hunter Renfrow makes a key third down catch as well. So you got all these guys that's making this catch. Coker has, he's not fast, but he knows how to run routes. He knows how to utilize his body. And if you go back and look at the interview, he was stating, he said, hey, I knew I had to get the angle, and I had to use my body to create separation. That's a young man who knows exactly who he is and how to get open with the tools that he has. Sometimes people talk about someone's lack of speed. Mm-hmm. It's not about the lack of speed. It's do you know what to do with what you have? And Coker knows exactly. He has never been a speedster, but what he is a hell of a route runner. I watched him at Holy Cross, and one of the biggest plays that stood out to me wasn't against Dartmouth, wasn't against some of these other guys. It was against Boston College. When you go back and look, he ran a curl route versus a very active, handsy corner, and he ran that route to perfection. And that tells me a lot because you don't really get that type of route running from a young guy in college, especially a guy at Holy Cross. But you got to give credit where it's due, and he's been running great routes since the beginning and only will continue to get better.
Yeah, and you love curl routes, so.
Yeah, exactly.